where's the YouTube? How do I find the YouTube?
It has started. Maybe you have to refresh the page.
Here.
Yeah, live now.
So the
now change.
thumbnail is there. The
Yes,
proper thumbnail.
thumbnail.
Right. Hare Krishna Prabhus, welcome. Live streaming from our new YouTube channel, new old YouTube channel, Living in Bliss. Hare Krishna. We're discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. It's the first canto, 15th chapter, text number 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Salvya Chamoshu Adabra.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Salya
Rajanya Variya Rata Mandala Manditasu. Agre Charo Mama Viborata Yutapanam.
Agre Charo Mana Viborata Yutapanam.
Ayurmanam Sicha Drisha Saha Oja Achat.
Ayurmanam Sicha Drisha Saha Archat.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Shalya Chamushvadabhra.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Salya Chamushu Adabra.
Rajanya Varyaratha Mandala Manditasu.
Rajanya Varyaratha Mandala Manditasu.
Agre Charo Mama Vibho Ratha Yuthapanam.
Agre Charo
Mama Viborata Yutapanam.
Ayurmanam Sichadrisha Saha Oja Chat.
Ayurmanam Sicha Drisha Saha Oja Achat.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Shalya Chamuswadabra.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Salya Chamuswadabra.
Rajanya Varya Rata Mandala Manditasu.
Rajanya Variya Rata Mandala Manditasu.
Agre Charo Mama Viborata Yutapanam.
Agre Charo Mama Viborata Yutapanam.
Ajurmanam Sicha Drisha Saha Ojarchat.
Ayurmanam Sicha Drisha Saha Oja Achat.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Sulya Chamusu Adabra.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Surya Chamushvadabra.
Rajanya Varya Ratamandala Manditasu.
Rajanya Variya Ratamandala Manditasu.
Agre Charo Mama Viborata Yutapanam.
Agre Charo Mama Viborata Yutapanam.
Ayurmanam Sicha Drisha Saha Oja Orchat.
Ayurmanam Sicha Drisha Saha Oja Achat.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Sarja Kamush Adabra.
Yo Bhishma Karna Guru Salya Chamusu Adabra.
Rajanja Bhajaratha Mandala Manditasu.
Rajanya Variya Rata Mandala Manditasu.
Agre Charo Mama Viho Ratha Yuthapanam.
Agre Charo Mama Viborata Yutapanam.
Ayurmanam Sikha Drisha Saha Oja Archahat.
Ayurmanam Sicha Drisha Saha Oja Achat. Yo, it is he only.
It is he only.
Bhishma
Bhishma
of the name.
of the name.
Karma
Karma
of the name.
of the name.
Guru
Guru
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya.
Sarya
Sarya
of the name.
of the name.
Chamushu
Chamusu
in the midst of military phalanx.
in the midst of military phalanx.
Adhabra
Adabra
immense.
immense.
Rajanyavariya
Rajanya Varya
great royal orders.
Great royal orders.
Ratamandala
Radhamandala
chain of chariots.
chain of chariots.
Manditasu
Manditasu
being decorated with.
being decorated with.
Agre Charo
Agre Charo
going forward.
going forward.
Mama,
Mama,
of mine.
of mine.
Vibho,
Vivo,
all the great king.
all the great king.
Ratayatapanam,
Ratayatapanam,
all the charioteers.
all the charioteers.
Ayur,
Ayur,
duration of life or fruitive activities.
duration of life of fruitive activity.
Manamsi,
Manamsi,
mental upsurges.
mental upsurges.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Drisha,
Disha,
by glance.
by glance.
Saha,
Saha,
along with.
along with.
Ojaha,
Ojaha,
strength.
strength.
Achavat,
Ajahat,
withdrew.
withdrew.
Translation: It is he only who withdrew everyone's duration of life, speculative power, and strength of enthusiasm in the battlefield of the great military phalanx, made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Shalya, etc. Their arrangement was nice and more than enough, but he, Lord Shri Krishna, while going forward, did all these. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Absolute Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, by His plenary Paramatma portion, expands Himself in everyone's heart, and as such, He directs everyone in the matter of recollection, forgetfulness, knowledge and absence of intelligence, and all psychological activities. As the Supreme Lord, He can increase or decrease the duration of life of a living being. As such, the Lord conducted the battlefield of Kurukshetra according to His own plan. He wanted the battlefield of Kurukshetra must be owned for the sake of establishing Yudhishthir as the emperor of this planet. And to facilitate this transcendental business, He withdrew the duration of life of all who were on the opposite party by His omnipotent will. The other party was equipped with all military strength, supported by big generals like Bhishma, Drona, Shalya, etc. And it would have been physically impossible for Arjuna to win over the battle had the Lord not have helped him by every kind of tactics required to win over a great battle. Such tactics are generally followed by every statesman, even in the modern warfares, but they are all done materially by powerful espionages, military tactics, and diplomatic maneuvers of modern politicians. And because Arjuna was the Lord's devotee of great affection, the Lord did them all Himself without personal anxiety by Arjuna. That is the way of devotional service of the Lord. Om Agyan Tarinandasya Gyanajana Shalakayama Chakshunan Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master's divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has opened my darkened eyes of the torture of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto His lotus feet. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai.
So, the Kauravas were very expertly equipped with all the military strength. They had such a big army, they could not imagine that the Pandavas would win. But when Krishna and Arjuna blew their conch shells, the hearts of the Kauravas were shattered. This is the power of transcendental sound. Krishna blew his conch shell, Arjuna blew his conch shell, Maharaj Yudhishthir, Nakula, Sahadeva, all the Pandavas, they blew their respective conch shells. Every conch shell had a specific name. What is the name of Krishna's conch shell? Do you know?
Panchajanya.
Okay, good. Panchajanya, okay. I don't remember myself. So when Krishna blew the conch shell in Arjuna, they were shattered. Whereas when Bhishma and Dronacharya and the other army, they blew their conch shells, the Pandavas were not at all shaken. That is the difference between transcendental sound coming from disciplic succession. Krishna is the initiator of the disciplic succession. And seemingly transcendental sound adulterated by imposters. It has no potency. You might have a big conch shell, gigantic conch shell, but if you're not empowered by Krishna, that sound has no potency. So this is a lesson to everyone. This battle of Kurukshetra. Why we're discussing so much this battlefield of Kurukshetra. Srila Prabhupada even says that we're not concerned actually with the battle of Kurukshetra, with the battlefield of Kurukshetra. We don't care. But because Krishna was fighting in this area, the area became transcendental, a holy tirtha, because Krishna was there. Anything connected to Krishna, we're very much interested. And if Krishna is not present, then we're not interested at all. It's material. So, this battlefield of Kurukshetra, there are so many lessons that Krishna is showing us by manifesting this pastime, this wonderful pastime. Always there's some kind of a fight in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga there's nothing but fight. Even the family, they fight. They're supposed to be loving each other, but they also fight. The politicians, they fight with one another. Within the same area, they fight. So that is why the battlefield of Kurukshetra is there. That's why this war has been arranged by Krishna. So we can relate. Actually, Prabhupada explains why this Mahabharata was given. Mahabharata, from the high Vedic standard, is considered to be a low-class literature. It was meant for the less intelligent, for Shudras, for women, like that. Because it's full of pastimes. It's full of there is philosophy, but presented in a very palatable way, in a story form. Right? There's a beginning, middle, end, so that keeps the mind engaged. Simply discussing neti, this is not Brahman, this is not Brahman, and logic, this is not for everyone. So out of his causeless mercy, Srila Vyasadeva wrote this Mahabharata, which the Bhagavad Gita is part of, because people in general, they're attracted to these kind of pastimes. And what pastimes? All fighting, intrigues, killing. If you look at the news, there's always some kind of a killing. Oh, there's been disaster here, there, so many people died. This person died, he was assassinated. So many people were killed. Great murderer, great cannibal, all kinds of things like this. People are attracted to these kind of topics. See, we're trying to suppress the reality of our mortality. Not trying to suppress it. Don't talk about it. Let's just have fun. Think positive. Say like that. But the soul is in anxiety. Just like the fish taking out of water. He's in anxiety. He is not in his natural atmosphere of living. So from the soul, we are always attracted to the topic of death. You can see this in the arts, for example. In the arts, many artists, they deal with death. Every Hollywood movie, there is some killing. This is not by accident. It is attractive. It is a taboo. It is the forbidden topic we don't want to talk about, but we're nevertheless very curious about. So it is there. The killing is there. Intrigues. Evil things like that. People want to hear about such a thing. And when they touch the Mahabharata, there is also the philosophy smuggled in. Srila Vyasadeva, the great transcendental smuggler, he would smuggle in the teachings of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the highest understanding. Understanding Krishna is the conclusion of the Vedas. The pure nectar, the cream of all the Vedas. So, another lesson we can learn from here, this fight over the world, Maharaj Yudhishthira, Krishna wanted Maharaj Yudhishthira to become the emperor of the world. It's not that this was some kind of a fight amongst tribes. Sometimes people, nonsense people, rubbish people say Krishna was a tribal chief. You have heard this? Yeah. Krishna was just a tribal chief and they made him God. Tribal chief, womanizer, like that. Nonsense. This was the war over the whole world. Who's going to take charge of the whole planet Earth? We can't even imagine, because so much Kali Yuga is there. Everything is divided. There's no unity, no organization, all chaos. Why there's so many countries? There's 300, 400 different countries. Everyone has different opinion. That means there's chaos. If there's divisions and divisions and division, then you can't organize anything. Yeah? Prabhupada says, the people have this inclination nowadays to unite. You know, the United Nations, the United States of America, like that. The global village, they call it. And now also, by the use of the internet, again the world has become smaller. But the real unity is based on devotional service to the Supreme Controller, Supreme Enjoyer, Supreme Lord, Krishna. If we do not surrender to Krishna, if we do not understand that Krishna is the binding principle which can connect us all these endeavors that will ultimately become failures. They'll all be failures. So, the Kauravas, they had such a big army. They had so much facilities available. Pandavas, only a handful of Pandavas. But by the mercy of Krishna, they were able to conquer them. Pandavas would conquer the Kauravas in this great fight. So this is a lesson. We should not look at the material side of things. Duryodhana, there's a moment in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a moment when Duryodhana feels very proud of his army. He feels very proud. Oh, I have this Bhishma on my side. And he would blow his concho, Bhishma Deva would blow his concho to give Duryodhana assurance that he will fight to his best ability. To give him encouragement. Duryodhana was like a child. He needed encouragement. He was not confident. He could see the Pandavas. They've gathered some army. He was surprised. He criticized Dronacharya. That your students, Drishtadumna, all of them, they were studying under Dronacharya, a great Kshatriya spiritual master. So Duryodhana was complaining. See, your disciple Drishtadumna, he has arranged this military phalanx. Military phalanx. That's actually it is also described somewhere. How many chariot drivers? How many soldiers? How many arrow shooters? That is also explained. I don't remember exactly the numbers. But there's a specific way how they would arrange the soldiers, the phalanxes. They could fight more in an organized way. You might see the Romans. They also have in the ancient Rome. They also fight like that. Very nicely arranged. That's why they were able to conquer the whole Europe, the Romans. Very organized. These barbarians, they would just fight with axes or something like that, but no culture. The Romans, this was the remnants of the Vedic culture. They would have a very organized army. So, similarly, Drishtadumna, he arranged the phalanxes very nicely. So, ultimately Duryodhana was complaining, you have taught your disciple how to arrange the army, the military tactics, and now he's going against us? What is this? Duryodhana was very political. He criticized Dronacharya, and he also warned Bhishma Deva that you should fight to your best ability, because Bhishma Deva had some affection. Bhishma Deva had some affection for the Pandavas. He raised them since they were little kids. So Duryodhana was afraid he's not going to fight to his best ability. He was going to be emotional. See, even such a stalwart Kshatriya as Bhishma Deva, there was a fear that he might be sentimental. It's natural. Your children, you're going to fight against your grandchildren. It's not a joke. So Duryodhana was very calculating all these points, very elaborately. Bhishma Deva, he might fail. Dronacharya, he might fail. So he was encouraging them, or you could say pressurizing them, challenging them. You have affection for the Pandavas. And so then Bhishma Deva at one point he said, either Arjuna dies or Krishna breaks his promise. Krishna gave a promise, I will not fight in this war. Krishna was their cousin, so he had a neutral position. But when Bhishma Deva started shooting the arrows very strongly at Arjuna, Krishna became angry and he rushed with a wheel. He took a wheel of the chariot and rushed towards Bhishma Deva to kill him. Then, of course, the conch blew, and that was the end of the battle for the day. They were so organized. The battle would start by the blowing of the conch at a particular time. They would fight, life or death, and then when the time was up, the conch blew again. That was it. Then they would go, they would drink, they would eat, they would joke together, as though nothing happened. And the next day again, the duty, killing one another. These are the Kshatriyas. Very stern, very powerful. No compromises. That is also required. A class of people like that are required. Krishna is criticizing Arjuna. You are an Anarya. This is not proper for a Kshatriya to have some sentiment. You must do your duty. So the Kshatriyas, they're also cruel, very cruel people. Very crude and cruel people also. That is required. Because if there is a culprit, if there's a criminal, and the Kshatriya is a weakling, like nowadays the politicians, cowards. The mafia boss comes to the president, here's $1 million, you kindly pass this law. Yes, sir. Otherwise I'm going to kill you. Yes, sir. He must immediately, he himself must be very strong. Take a sword and cut off his head, like that. And is a Kshatriya. Also not depending on the votes. That is a Shudra behavior. Oh, please, can you give me votes? I will fulfill all your desires, please. He's asking, please accept me in your service. No, Kshatriya by violence. He comes to the throne by violence. Violent takeover. Like all these dictators, right? The communists or Hitler. I'm not sure if Hitler came also by violence.
He won election.
He won election, but there was some violence also.
Turbulent.
He was troublemaker.
Troublemaker.
Yeah, he was like creating disturbance so people would come with him.
Yeah. So there was violence.
Yeah.
That,
Many of his men were shot.
there you go. Yes. So that must be done.
And
That is
for him to be able to reach his position, he had to go to front on fight in the war, and he had to he got the how do you say the reputation on that. So they followed him because of his reputation in the front field.
okay. There you go. So Hitler was a proper Kshatriya. He had the Kshatriya propensity. This election, of course, it is. I think some of the Greek philosophers, they say that the democracy is not ideal, but is the best thing we have.
Churchill said.
Huh?
Churchill said.
Yeah. Maybe he was just quoting some Greek philosopher. No originality. Anyway, so it's not first class. People think it's first class democracy. It's not. It's not. It's a mess.
When you tell them that you should not use democracy, then they say, then what are we going to use? We want chaos and
Dictator, anarchy.
anarchy. But actually, if you analyze democracy, this is anarchy.
It is anarchy. Yeah. So this is missing Kshatriyas, bona fide Kshatriyas who are strong, who are powerful, but guided by the Brahmins. That is what is missing. That is what Hitler was missing and all the other they were missing. The Brahminical council, they will give him guidance so that strength is not misused. This is also not a very great accomplishment, that I have big power, I control everything. Oh, if you're a fool, then that power becomes destructive in your hands. So he must be guided by the Brahmins. That is what Srila Prabhupada has started. The Brahminical training. For everyone. Everyone is offered this training. Everyone can take it up. Chant Hare Krishna, 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulative principles, and study these scriptures. Very simple, you don't need anything. You don't need money, you don't need resources, anyone can do it. He becomes a Brahmana. If he's very serious, Brahmana is very serious. Brahmana is independent, he can control his senses, he can figure things out, he can analyze everything. So Srila Prabhupada started that sort of revolution. Jai. So that is the most important part of his mission. Some devotees, they say, no, we need now farms, varnashram. We need to grow food and cows, and so that is, of course, is very nice. Anyone who does this, he's a very first class. That is needed also. But without a Brahminical head, we can't have any change in this world. It's like a headless body. You might have a belly, nice fruits and vegetables that you grow in your lawn or in your field. You can have cows. But if you have no brain, no brahmanas, then what is the use of that? So eating is eating. If you eat vegetarian or you eat meat, ultimately it's eating. You can't reach liberation from the material existence by eating. That is a wrong idea. So, anyway, I found there is a nice exchange Prabhupada has with the disciples. See, Krishna here, Prabhupada says here that Krishna would use all kinds of military tactics. We know that he told, for example, Maharaj Yudhishthira to tell a lie. Maharaj Yudhishthira would never say a lie. But Krishna says, no, tell a lie, because unless you tell a lie, Dronacharya will not die. So Maharaj Yudhishthira told a lie. Ashwatthama, the elephant, is dead. You know this pastime?
It wasn't even a lie, no?
Huh?
It wasn't a lie.
It was a white lie, yeah.
From a technical point of view, it was not a lie, but it was a lie because that's what
Dronacharya misunderstood, yeah. That was the purpose, to cheat Dronacharya that his son is dead. Right? Ashwatthama is dead.
It's like Arjuna cutting what was his name? Ashwatthama.
Yeah,
He didn't kill him, he killed him, but he didn't kill him.
yeah.
So also here, he lied, but he didn't lie.
Well, that is the military tactics, diplomatic maneuvers. Krishna was doing all of this for Arjuna. And Arjuna, without any anxiety, Krishna would figure things out. I just checked the Tulsi page, Tulsi Kabat live page. And they're discussing, some devotees are discussing, because her polls are very low. She has no support. So they were discussing how it's gonna be, and one devotee, he said that Bernie Sanders, that's another one, probably has more. This Bernie Sanders, he's like friend with.
I saw it.
Yeah, he's
this
like a
is,
friend.
this is a kind of like a left wing.
Yeah, socialist type of person.
Yes.
So this devotee said that he will take her as an assistant, and then he will have a heart attack and dies. So she becomes the president.
Yeah.
And then he said Krishna is sneaky. So I found it very.
Yeah, and I
Very
read
humorous.
that he said that she's the best candidate.
That's another one. That's Ron Paul.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
then-
Anyway,
right,
that doesn't matter.
right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
politics.
anyway, they're getting some points.
Yeah. What I found funny is that the devotee said Krishna is sneaky. Krishna is indeed sneaky. Like Krishna's sense of humor, his transcendental sense of humor has no comparison. And this is also part of it. They all thought, oh, we're the big Kauravas and we took over these Pandavas and let them go to hell. Ha ha ha. We have the whole kingdom. And then the 5 Pandavas, with the help of Krishna, they were able to kill them all. So we should never be puffed up with material power. That is the illusion. Anyway, so here it's mentioned that Krishna was doing all these tactics and politics and cheating for Arjuna's sake. So for Krishna's sake, we don't mind being a little sneaky and a little tricky. That is also required sometimes. Prabhupada said that with a crooked person, you have to be crooked. You have to be crooked. It is folly to be wise where ignorance is bliss. It is folly, it is foolishness to be wise, to be intelligent, where ignorance reigns, where ignorance is prevailing. Okay, so here Prabhupada is encouraging. There was a Ratha Yatra in England, and the police, they didn't allow. They allowed, like you probably saw this Ratha Yatra, Trafalgar Square, right? And then they wrote in the newspaper that the Hare Krishnas are what did they say? I forgot. Even Prabhupada wrote about it in his Chaitanya Charitamrita.
That the Ratha was higher than Nelson's column.
Yeah. The Hare Krishnas are conquering the height of Nelson's column. There's the Admiral Nelson, a very high statue. So the devotees would build a Ratha Yatra cart higher than that. That was in the British newspaper. It's a very successful. 1 million people came to that Ratha Yatra in 1971 or 72, I'm not, 73.
1 million people.
Yeah. So in 74, they didn't allow. And there's Hansadutta on the memory, he's explaining that they would bring all the palm trees. Like you see Prabhupada there are palms. The devotees were really nuts. And they would drill holes into the pavement. So that was a big scandal that the police were freaking out. And then they didn't give them permission to hold the festival.
How strong is the pure devotee, huh? It actually shakes the whole country.
Yeah. So Prabhupada, they told him the news. He was in Los Angeles, and there's a conversation where Prabhupada is exhibiting transcendental anger, and he's encouraging devotees to take a stand, to fight, not to be weaklings. So here he says, somebody protested that your Krishna consciousness movement makes the people dull. And now you have not seen the Vaishnava. There were 2 fights in the Indian history. One is Rama, and one is Kurukshetra. And the hero is Vaishnava. We're going to produce such Vaishnavas, not these dull rascals sitting down. Perhaps Prabhupada meant his godbrothers. We don't want these Vaishnavas sitting down rascals. We want Arjuna, or we want no one. That is Vaishnava, that is wanted. If we remain rascals, then that Gaura Sundara's example will be followed. Gaura Sundara is a disciple who sold the temple and started smoking. He sold the temple, took the money, and Smoked. One day you'll again become crazy and close up everything and smoke. That's all. My Guru Maharaj used to say, Prana Arte Yanrase Hetu Prachar. One who has got life, he can preach. That is my definition of living Guru. One who has life. The dead man cannot preach. So you become with life, not like dead man. Without life, just like all my Godbrothers. There we go. There are dead men, and therefore they're envious of my activities. They have no life. If you want to make easygoing life, showing the deity and then sleep, then it is a failure movement.
Prabhu, could you send me this quote?
Yeah.
Wow.
So then Prabhupada gives the solution for the yatra. The Ratha must be there, it may not move. That is another thing. It will stand. The deity will move on palanquin accordingly. Take this sanction. And then coming back, hold big meeting, protest meeting. Ratha must be there. It will not move. The movement will be by palanquin, I think. I don't think there is any difficulty. How there can be any objection reasonably? There cannot be any objection. Let the Ratha stand there and the deity moves according to your sanction. What objection can be there? So Prabhupada devised good tactics. So that you build a Ratha Yatra, but because they're objecting that you can't move the Ratha Yatra, so you stand it in one place and you take the deities on a palanquin, and then you come back to the Ratha. Like that. We have to be a little intelligent to deal with people. Not that I immediately give up. Oh, they have cracked on us, okay, let me give up and smoke and sit down and do nothing. You have to fight. Sometimes you can't fight by strength. They have more strength, but you can fight with intelligence. So Prabhupada is giving a solution.
Like in India they go with the deities all over the palanquins.
Yeah.
You know, they go to the temples, they take the deities outside and
Yes.
they go around with palanquins.
Yes.
Actually, I saw that with Venkateshwara. They
Okay.
took out Venkateshwara.
Wow.
And we were like in Vrindavan with Aswani,
Mm-hmm.
and then we heard like really big sound, like horns and stuff, and Venkateshwara was being taken out, so like really nice and big palanquin. They brought him, so we're pushing him.
Beautiful. Yeah, Prabhupada even talks about as an act of devotion that the village people, they offer flowers or some prasadam like that when the deities are passing by.
It was going behind the temple because it was a big temple, and it was going by all the houses. There were all houses, and people was coming out. They were stopping in the way, and they do this every afternoon. You know, stop away, and the people will come out and offer things.
That is real culture. We should introduce in Fangirola this.
Ah.
Train people like this. Okay, so here Prabhupada says that the queen's husband and the queen's son, the Prince of Wales, both of them are hippies.
Yeah, actually, they've been caught smoking ganja.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were caught.
And Prabhupada says, so this monarchy will also be finished. The British monarchy will be finished. Prabhupada predicts. Anyway, so that, he says, Prabhupada says that we should, fight. We have to fight. Right. Any questions?
We have to go, Prabhu.
Oh,
I have a lot
okay.
of work to do. Okay.
Alright.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I told the guy, he told me this morning that today will be done. So just wait until. Okay.